Okay, this is how you fit two pieces of glass together. I'm going to pretend these are two pieces of glass. I'm just using a bigger scale rather than tiny glass. So I want to get these to fit together, but the problem is you can see there's gaps in here where it doesn't fit very well, okay? So this is what you would do. You would want to make this piece of glass, which is a little bit crookedly cut, smoother and straighter like this better piece of glass. So what I would do is I would take a compass like this, and I'm going to draw a parallel line to the edge of this, just like this. Okay, that way I've got this line drawn now, and then I would take my piece of glass and grind that down. But this isn't glass, so I'm just going to use the scissors. And so what I did is I took the one piece that was straighter and then made a parallel line to that piece using a little scribe tool. Now you would use this if you're using something big like this, and you're going to see fits pretty good. Now, if I look at mine right now, I can see that there's a bit of a gap here, or if I rock it, there's a bit of a gap there, which means this needs to go a little further. So if this was glass, I'd probably draw a line like this, and I would grind a little bit more out of the center there. Okay, so let's just pretend this is a piece of glass. I'm taking a little bit more out of the center. That's where it's touching. It wasn't touching on the edge. Now when I put this on there, I can see that's fitting pretty well now. Okay, now suppose you have two pieces of glass and they're both a little bit crooked, like these two pieces of paper here. Okay, so I look at this piece of paper, and this has got some bumps in it, and this piece of paper's got some bumps in it. So what I need to do is first probably clean up one of these. Which one's easier to clean up? Maybe this one. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to shave just a little bit off of here so it's a nice smooth curve to begin with. So let's pretend that's the glass. I'm going to just trim my glass down so it's a little smoother right there. So we're pretending this is a glass. Taking a little bit off. Now, when I put it next to here, I can see a little bit more clearly. If I put this next to it, I can see where there are gaps. There are gaps here, and one here. But here it fits really nicely, and here it fits really nicely. Okay? Actually, there's a big gap there, gaps here. So what I'm going to do is this. The areas that are closest now on the pink sheet, I'm going to make a line right now that's parallel to the yellow sheet. So that line, I'm going to take a little bit off right there, a little bit off here, okay, and then a little bit off over here. So now this black line I just drew is parallel to the yellow edge of paper. So now if this was glass, I grind it along that line, and you'd use a Sharpie marker on your glass. Now the Sharpie marker will eventually wash off, but you're only grinding a little bit, so that's probably okay. So now pretend this is the glass. Now they fit a little better, and I'm just going to fine tune it, okay? Now let's take a look at a piece of glass. Here's this thing that you're making now. Let's bring this down. And you can see that this piece of glass fits just inside the line pretty well. Okay? It fits pretty well. It's hard to see, I know it's clear, but there's a little bit hanging over right here. So what I'm going to do is I just took a Sharpie, and that tells me that I need to shave just a little bit off of the edge right there. So I'll take that to the grinder and shave that down. Okay? Then, when I put this one here, I can see that's pretty good. Now if I take them off here and I place them right next to each other, these actually aren't too bad. But I can see there's a little bit of a gap. It rocks a little bit here, which means it's touching in the middle, but it's not touching. So where it's touching, it happens to be touching a little bit right here. So all I'm doing right there is putting a little mark on my glass that tells me that when I take it to the grinder, I'm just going to shave just a little bit off of there. Then these two should match up really nice, and then they also will still fit on my pattern. So that's what we're doing right now. You're going to cut out these three pieces. They have to fit together perfectly, not crappily. They got to fit together really good, okay? And then I'll show you the next step, which is putting copper foil on the edges and soldering those together. So that's how you make edges to line up. I use my paper example, but now you can see how you would do it with a glass example. And I like to use a Sharpie like this, and I'll take a little bit off. Usually I take these pieces right up to the grinder with me. That way I can grind a little bit off and lay it right next to it again. Grind a little bit off, lay it right next to it again until eventually it fits perfectly, and then I know I'm right there. Then just clean the glass off and get your 3 pieces cut, and I will show you in the next demonstration how to solder these together.